let's start with your why. What drives you every day, and why'd you end up getting into this whole soccer journey?
Yeah, I'd say why I got into it was out of passion, out of freedom, out of expressing myself. My why right now is to make an impact, spread love, and break down barriers. And I do that through football, through the vehicle of football and helping people and coaching.
Right. So your why, as far as like getting into the journey and starting to play, was there like a moment that you can remember when you were playing soccer that was like, that was it? Like, and you know,
I think just naturally when I first started, it just completely correlated with me as a person, you know. I have high energy, and football was a way for me to express that energy, and I fell in love with it straight away.
Right. Talk to me about a little bit about the shift from player to coach.
It's interesting because even as a player, you know, I was lucky in the sense of, when I say I was lucky, I was fortunate in the sense of getting good opportunities at a young age, and I had adversity. But within that journey, so like I bounced around a couple clubs when I was young, ended up signing for West Ham United at 12 years old. But as a player, like I was decent, but I wasn't extremely gifted or extremely like technically competent in beating players and things like that with the ball. So why I say that is I was always like a hard worker, and I was kind of like a mini coach as a player. I was loud-mouthed, you know, I would communicate a lot, things like that. And when I had my exit meeting at Cardiff City, so I played at West Ham for 4 years, then I was at Cardiff City for 2 years as a youth team player, under 16 to under 18. And when I got told that I wasn't getting my professional contract at Cardiff, the meeting was with Neil Ardley and Lee Skirm. They're both coaches in England. And one of them mentioned to me, like, have you thought about coaching? Because I was always like that player who was always asking questions, who was always trying to do stuff to get better. So I feel like the coaching shift was like natural.
Right. That's already who you were.
I wouldn't say like it was who I was, but like in terms of characteristics and things I enjoyed, I definitely enjoyed like helping myself, but I also enjoyed helping others as a player.
Right. And you already had the ability to communicate.
Who knows if it's good or bad, but yeah, I mean, I like to communicate, yeah.
So when did you make the journey into America? When did you start thinking, you know, I'm going to head there and see what that's all about? Did you get your badges in England first, or did you come here and then start the coaching journey? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, at Cardiff City, I don't know if they still do it in England. I think they do. But when you're signed to a professional team as a youth team player, so under 16 to under 18, they make you take your level 2 like coaching badges. So me and all my teammates, we did it with the FA, and we did our level 2 coaching badge. So,
no way.
Yeah,
dude, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
they don't do that here.
No,
like they would never even. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think they have the resources set up yet.
So you're 16 to 18, you're getting coaching badges already through the academy.
But for us as players, like we were just, back then I didn't think I was going to be a coach, you know, you're just with your teammates and you're just doing something and you're, you know. So
what is the thinking behind that? Just so that they know that the players understand more for both sides, for like, you know, from the player and the coaching perspective.
It was through the Professional Footballers Association. Mm-hmm. And I think they obviously see that not every player will make it as a pro.
Okay. So they're trying to set you up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So you get your badges, and then at what point did you get introduced to LA Galaxy?
LA Galaxy happened when I moved to LA. And it's funny because I remember when I first moved to LA, I was struggling in life. And I remember thinking, like, I'm in LA, and I thought about LA Galaxy, but that thought just seemed so distant. I was like 19, 20 at the time. There was a lot of adversity in my life, and things I was just trying to figure out. And I actually met the directors of the affiliate club at the time. So a few years ago, LA Galaxy had an affiliate club system. So they had different clubs that were affiliated with the LA Galaxy. So they had LA Galaxy South Bay, LA Galaxy San Diego, LA Galaxy Orange County, etc., etc. And I met the directors of LA Galaxy South Bay actually on a night out when I first got here in Hermosa Beach. I was with my teammates. We started talking, we exchanged information, and then I followed up on in an email the following day, just asking, hey, look, like I'd love to get involved. I'd love to help. I'd love to shadow. And they actually came back to me at that time and said, sorry, we don't have any opportunities for you at that time. So that was fine. And then I continued playing like my college season. So that was my first season at Marymount, California University. I played then. And then one of our coaches at my college team, he was connected to LA Galaxy South Bay, and he was helping them with like their games program. So they had a spring league, and he needed like referees to coach his spring league. So he asked the college players, hey, like, do you wanna referee in this spring league? So I was like, I jumped at it, because I was just trying to find things and find my way. And then I remember like I pull up to this spring league. It's for like youth players, like 7 to 12 years old. And I see all these little LA Galaxy like youth teams. It was the affiliate club. And then I see the two guys that I met on that night out. So I go straight up to them. I'm like, hey, like, good to see you again, whatever. And then I asked them, I was like, look, like I'd love to get involved. I've had some good coaches in my career. I just want to learn. I want to give back. I want to be around other good coaches. And then they directed me to someone else. And he led what they called the LA Galaxy Explorers program, LA Galaxy South Bay Explorers program. So essentially that program was for 3 to 8-year-olds. And it's people that are exploring football, soccer. So some of these kids didn't even know how to play or were picking the ball up their hands and this and that. And he said, look, like if you want to get involved, you can come on Monday. So I went to that, and then I started volunteering within that program, and that's how things started.
Wow. So explain to me, like, in the ultimate culmination of your role at LA Galaxy, what was your role there as it stood over like the past few years? And, what was that? Like, what was your, I know you were a coach, but I think that you were also in charge of scouting and you were in that formation age group.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me a little bit how that works and like how the scouting and all that kind of stuff worked?
Yeah. So essentially, I first started working for the affiliate club, LA Galaxy South Bay. And then through that, I gained an opportunity to coach in the LA Galaxy camps and clinics. So that's how I first started. I first started doing that in 2014. So working in like youth programming. And then within that period, I then had an opportunity to shadow the LA Galaxy 2 head coach at the time, Kurt Winalfo. And they were playing in USL. So I started shadowing him. And then within that, like, because I was coaching for the affiliate club, I was in the market like a lot. Like I was at tournaments, in games. I was in the LA market, right? Like, so that's when LAFC, the other MLS club in Los Angeles, that's when they were first starting. And what they did with their academy is they, capitalized it in maybe areas that LA Galaxy weren't as strong, which makes sense. So they invested into a scouting department. LA Galaxy didn't have any scouts at the time. So when I was coaching on the weekend for the affiliate club, I'd see all these LAFC scouts. They had like, I don't know, around 7, 8 scouts. And so what I told myself was I wanted to understand who all the top players were, figure out, where they played, who they were, who their coaches were, et cetera, et cetera. And then what I started to do was compile reports to the LA Galaxy Academy director. and I would just give him all these reports of players, where they were, etc., etc. And then, over time, I started to really learn and understand like the pool of talent in LA and around LA. And then there was a job opportunity that came up with the academy, and I ended up, getting the opportunity to coach, and I got that job as the under-12 head coach at the time for the academy. So then, and then around that time, our academy director just got promoted to be the LA Galaxy 2 head coach, Mike Munoz. So then we actually didn't have an academy director for a certain amount of time. So I just took the initiative to recruit and take that role. So my first recruiting class, if you like, or age group, was the 2007 age group. And what's pretty cool is like this season, we've had 2 players from that age group play for the LA Galaxy first team, Harbour Miller and Ruben Ramos. But yeah, so that was my first age group. And then I'm pretty relentless when I get into stuff, so, I was just recruiting like crazy. I was coaching like crazy. And then I was telling the LA Galaxy, I was telling the club, like our academy director, well, now the LA Galaxy 2 head coach. And then I was telling our GM at the time, Pete Vainas, who was great. And I was like, look, like we need to form an under 11 age group. We need to kind of think about how we can stay ahead and all of these things. So that's how that started. And then I led the recruitment, like, unofficially, to be honest, for like 4 or 5 years. So 2007 age group, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. And then the 2012 age group, I formed that group with Tyson Wall, who's the current academy director. We did have a scouting director that came in like for a year before that as well, Alex. So yeah.
Talk to me a bit about a Harbour Miller. So when you're recruiting a player, at 12 years old, and you're
he was at 10 at the time.
So he was 10. Okay, so he's 10 at the time.
Yeah.
And this is a player, this is right at the origin story of the kind of the recruitment scouting process, I guess you would say, for LA Galaxy, right?
I mean, they've always been scouting and recruit. I mean, they've always had forms of recruiting.
Right.
This was just my way.
Right. So this was the origin of you in that role, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that 07 age group. Talk to me a bit about him. Like, what did when you saw him, was there something that stood out about him? Could you tell that he was going to go through the academy and end up being a pro? Was there certain qualities that you saw in him that you thought maybe, that's a player that could make it, or was it something that just kind of happened through the process? And
I think there's different facets within recruitment. So what I mean by that is, really and truly, anyone can, or a lot of people will be able to spot like an obvious talent, right? Like my mum, not to say that she doesn't know much about football, but like she could spot like the kid that's scoring 5 goals or, whatever. So you're going to be able to you should be able to identify like standout players, right? Whatever that may look like, however they're standing out. But then, for me, when I was looking at players and trying to understand players, looking at like, are they dominant, or do they show competency within each of the following areas? So like their technical competency, their awareness and decision making, their personality, and their speed off the ball, speed with the ball, things like that. So with like Harbour, for example, for me at those younger ages, he was competent in terms of his personality. Like he was a leader, he was outgoing, he was supportive with his teammates, things like that. And he was very quick, and like he had good speed. And technically, like, he was good, so he hit like a lot of those areas.
Was he the best player in his class?
His age group was really talented. So he was for sure one of them. But
right.
His age group, like, so from that age group at our club now, we've got like Harbour Miller, Ruben Ramos, Pepe Magana. Pepe got MLS Next MVP 2 seasons ago. Gabriel Arnold, So there's a lot of talent, and then there's talent that's come into that age group too over the years, like Dylan Vanny, and so that's a talented age group.
Talk to me a bit more about looking back at those years, some players that stood out to you. Like, is there any let's just say through 2007 through the 2012, I think is that the last age group that you 2014s. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there players that have really stood out to you through those years where you're like, man, like that kid, like I pinpointed that kid. I'm proud of that. I can put my stamp on that. I saw him, I scouted him. I knew something was special about that kid.
Yeah. I don't necessarily see it as like putting my stamp on it or like it's about my ego, not to say that that's what you're insinuating, but like, I don't ever see it like that. I do feel like a sense of connection with that player and typically like their family, so even like today I saw Ekena Chidebe just scored for the USA for the under 15s. They're in Costa Rica right now, and it's him and Vicente Garcia are both playing for the US under 15s, and to my understanding they're doing really well. And those are like two people that I'm really close with. I'm really close with their families, so over the years, like seeing those stories is beautiful. Like this summer Matisse Albert just signed his pro at Borussia Dortmund, was the youngest player in the club World Cup. He's with the first team at Dortmund, he's 16. And Matisse, again, that's someone that I've known since he was really young, since he was like 9-10 years old. I'm really close to the family as well. So it's like things like that, which is like, it's beautiful, but I wouldn't say like, oh, that's me or that's all me, because there's a lot of people that are also part of the journey. Where I've helped is maybe just being a bit forward thinking and maybe helping them get to the club, instead of going to another club. And then them trusting me and supporting them in their entry level years, within academy football. I think that's how I've helped, but it's not like there's definitely a lot that goes into it.
Speak to me a little bit more about Matisse, because that's a journey that I think every American player kind of sees and thinks, I would love to do something like that. I would love to stand out and somehow sign a contract in Europe or, sign with an academy in Europe and then eventually sign a pro contract there. What is it about him specifically that makes him so unique to the point where he's succeeding on that level? Is there something that stood out specifically about him?
Matisse, so firstly, Matisse is an incredible person, very humble, hardworking, calm, talented, creative, artistic in ways. He's got a great family around him, great family support. Like his parents are very intelligent, switched on. So they're going to make sure that he keeps his head on his shoulders, And then with him as like a footballer, he was always just really talented and attacking minded, creative. He's unpredictable when he's on the ball. So he's multi-directional, like he can beat a defender going inside or going to the outside, and he can shift within his speed. And he's very deceptive within his ability to beat the defender. And he's got a quick change of speed. So those elements of like, him, just his personality, but then his ability with and without the ball to beat a defender is special. And then his ability around the goal to finish, to create, he's always been effective. So he's still very young. He's still got, ways to go in his journey, but I'm really excited for him.
Let's talk a little bit about the shift into SoLA. When did that idea of SoLA first come to you? And give me a little bit of backstory about SoLA, and like what was the origin of that in your mind, and when did that shift start to happen for you? SoLA
it's an ecosystem of development, and we're trying to help people transform their lives through football. The game has given me so much. I played at a decent level at a young age, played academy football in England, but my career never got to the point where I once aspired towards, So, but with that said, the game has given me so much in terms of shaped me as a person, given me tools to deal with life. Because I've had a lot of adversity in my life, and I still am having a lot of adversity in different ways. And I'm also extremely grateful for the life that I live. But football's definitely helped me in a lot of ways, coping with ups and downs of life, coping with setbacks, all of these things. So what I wanted to do is create a safe space for people to essentially love their football, be challenged, be supported, and develop at an optimal rate. So that's a little bit of what it is within how we the compartments within SOLA. You have optimal training. So when I say optimal training, it's detailed training where there's a methodology, there's specific things that we're working on, there's specific technical outcomes, there's tactical outcomes, physical outcomes, mental outcomes that we're striving towards. So that's like one pillar. And then we have our events. So I wanted to create a space where we have events that are like embody like values that bring joy to young footballers or to footballers. Yeah, I shouldn't even say young, because we have like current professional footballers that have come to our events, and they love it, and they love just being a part of it. So a space where there's joy, there's passion, there's energy, there's high frequency, there's competition, there's togetherness. Like, can we form a space with all of those ingredients? I think is possible. So that's like the element of the events. And then I want to be really creative, like within the storytelling. So me as a person, I'm, again, very high energy. I have a lot of ideas. I'd like to think I'm forward thinking, innovative, creative. But at the base of that, I'm intentional. So my intention within all of this is to develop and support people. But how we do that is our special sauce, so within the training and the events and the energy and the culture. But I want to essentially provide an elevated experience for our community and culture.
It almost seems like you created something that was a reflection of you. That's interesting, because I don't want it to, it's not me. And I don't want that to be like the perception, because the like brands, although they may be built around people, like it's not the person, but my personality and DNA and brand as a human is definitely like integrated into this. And, I feel inspired to be a part of this. So did you create this? Was it just simply a vision? Was it out of frustration, or did you feel like it was needed? Like there was a void of something like this in the ecosystem?
It's a good question. So when I first started this chat with you today, I told you like my guiding principles in life are to make an impact, spread love, break down barriers. And my role at the LA Galaxy, I felt like I was making an impact for sure. I'm getting to work with amazing, talented people with their families. I was surrounded by top coaches, like in an incredible environment, to be honest. And you are making a positive impact. I just feel like with this vision that I have, with this project, I can make more of an impact and support more people. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about explain a little bit about the technical, tactical methodology within that.
Sorry, do you know what? Sorry, because when I just answered that last question, I forgot a little bit about what you just asked.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, to then go off of that, I've like I said, I'm always have a lot of ideas, and that's good and bad. Sometimes when you're working with me, it could probably be annoying and frustrating. For sure, like over the years, like especially when I first started at Galaxy, I used to get a lot of banter because I'd get excited about. I remember I used to get banter about like scouting players because I just get so excited, like telling my boss or telling whoever, like, look, like we got this dope, young player that I think like, whatever, and that can be like sometimes maybe annoying to be around, or like I'd have ideas of like this event or how to recruit and blah blah blah. So I think like over the years, just I have certain visions, and it's maybe a bit complex, but I really want to see if we can bring that to life in an intentional way.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this for a while because I'm always thinking about my why. And I was blessed because LA Galaxy put me on a professional development course called the Elite Formation Coaching License, which was an incredible journey. And the premise of that journey, of that course, is to develop like people that are going to help the industry, help the football industry in this country. So each MLS club has the opportunity to send someone on it. So the LA Galaxy sent me on that. And it's with the French Football Federation and MLS. So that was like a 2-year journey. Started in 2023. And on that journey and on that course, I was surrounded by like top people, and we've been instructed by like top practitioners. Jean-Claude Giuntini, who was behind like starting Clairefontaine in France, Jose Alcacer, who's the current French, I think, U16 national team head coach, and Fred Lipka, who's the current vice president of development for MLS. He used to be the academy director for Le Havre in France. And I think just through that course and that journey, I understood myself more as a human. And before I had aspirations of like coaching at first team level. And I think just now, like I'm understanding myself more, and like my vision of the life that I want, and my vision of like how I can help and be like my best self. And the vision of So LA fits more within that vision that I have of myself right now. So I've been thinking about it like for a while. I didn't go back to the UK this past Christmas to see my family because I just stayed in LA by myself, and I was just thinking, just a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking, a lot of questioning, talking to friends, talking to mentors, talking to people. And then I came to this moment,
It's a culmination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Can you share the story that you told at the debrief on my last day at Summer Sauce about one of your instructors at that course? I just thought it was a really cool story about, he was saying, never let your players see you in a certain way.
Oh.
Can you tell that story? I think people will find that really fascinating.
Yeah, sure. It's a random story.
Yeah.
The context of it was the camp that we were working at. I wanted to support our staff. And within these camps, sometimes things can get chaotic, right? So within that week, I think by the end of the week, there was like a lot of players, and there was just like a lot going on. So me as like, someone who's supporting our team as well as like leading our team, I wanted to just reinforce like that I trust our team, and to just be calm, or try to be calm within chaos. So Jose Alcacer, he did a presentation when we were in Clairefontaine, when we were at Clairefontaine, and in France, and he gave us a presentation on how he guided the French, I can't remember which age group it was, like the under-17s, to win the Euros, the European Championships, like a few years ago. And so he gave us this presentation on like leadership and like tactics and culture and all these things. And then on one of the slides, he had a slide that said, never run in front of your players. So when I saw that, I was like, what does he mean, never run in front of your players? And he explained it and elaborated. And basically all he was saying was like, there's different ways to handle like chaos or handle stressful moments. And sometimes like, so he used the example of he was in a team meeting and his assistant like forgot something and they're in a hotel. So his assistant like shot off, like ran outside the room, then like ran back in, and like everyone's like looking around like what the hell's going on, you know? And Jose was like, sometimes as a leader, although like you might be inside like in a hurry or like, you know, you forgot something, now you're stressed. There's a way to kind of handle that, especially like when you're in a position of like responsibility and like leadership. And instead of like just darting outside the room and like running and like, you know, smashing the door, you might just calmly just, you know, be like, hey, like, give me 1 second, walk out the room calmly, quickly get your thing, and then you walk back in calmly. And that just level of calmness, I think will be spread onto others. And what I noticed about like being on that course and being around, you know, some of these guys is, yes, they've worked at an extremely high level and developed like high level people, but their attention to detail and their understanding of human dynamics is top, like so top. And that really inspired me.
I think that's one of the things that, you know, little details like that seem to be just part of the reason that SOLA seems to be setting itself apart within a culture of these individual-based training programs. So maybe just take, if there was a kid, you know, or if there was a parent sitting in here, you know, and you were explaining to them what sets a SOLA training session apart from the next guy down the street, like what would that be?
I mean, firstly, we're not in competition with anyone, if I'm being honest. You know, like we are who we are. So I like to make that clear to the families too. And, you know, as we're building, because this is very new, so I've got a lot of work to do in terms of organization and stuff like that. But we're going to get to a point where like the way we work is going to be very clear. Like, look, this is how we work. These are our ways. Not to say that we're not open to feedback, because I'm always open to feedback. But our way of working is going to be very clear. I'd say the intention behind like energy in our sessions is like very deliberate. So there's moments when in our session where there's like high energy, high competition, the music's loud, there's a lot going on. But then there's going to be moments when there's like quiet and you have to like recenter. And I like to be really intentional with energy. And then the last piece is our approach to holistic development. So I'm huge on nourishing, developing your mind, body, and heart, you know, around the game. Like I said, the game's given me so much and has allowed me to have a mindset where I want to explore things like developing my mind. I want to explore things like mobility, yoga, breath work, things like that. Part of that is also who I am as a person, but also like the game has helped me enter those spaces in ways, you know? So there's that. And then I'd say like our team of people. You know, I've been very blessed where I've been working at the highest level in this country around youth development for a number of years. But I've also been mentored by top practitioners in this country for a number of years. And that's where I'm just really blessed, you know. And like even now, like with SOLA, I have someone behind the scenes who works at MLS first team level. And I have him giving me advice because I understand that like in order for us to be our best selves, I have to keep growing. So I have to have someone checking and challenging me. So that's Johan Dame. He works at Columbus Crew, and he's an incredible human being. He's a mentor. He's a good friend. He's like an older brother to me. And just his level of expertise, you know, he's coached at all levels in this country, from grassroots to academy to second team level to youth national team level and first team. They won MLS 2 seasons ago. So he's given me like, he's always challenging me, you know, with certain things. So I'd say our team as well, our team and our community.
How did you push through the challenges and when things like felt heavy, you know, through your entire journey, through coaching? And is it a philosophy that's evolved over the years, or is it some sort of inner confidence and vision that you've always had and self-belief?
Are you talking about like pushing through adverse moments just in life?
Yeah.
I would say my life has been full of challenges, from like the area I grew up in to just who I am as a person, to, you know, like my parents broke up at a young age, to leaving home at 16, to moving to the US at 18. I haven't told you this, but when I first moved to the US to play NCAA Division I ended up getting permanently banned by the NCAA to play because they classed me as a professional because I came from youth team football at Cardiff City. So like, and I'm just giving you examples, like my journey's been full of adversity. Like even now, like there's like, you know, a lot of challenges. But I think living life through a lens of gratitude. Also, I understand like I live a life that, although I say there's adversity, the adversities that I'm facing compared to the adversities that some other people are facing, different, you know? So I'm very grateful. So even like when moments are hard or challenging, I try and stay like solution oriented. I try and stay positive. Not saying that I don't get frustrated, not saying that I won't get angry or emotional. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'd say being solution oriented, trying to navigate through those moments with my energy and my intention. Yeah, man.
Where do you see yourself in SoLA in the next 3 to 5 years?
In terms of
like the football, the sessions, the events, where do you see that going? And like, do you have an ultimate vision for it, or are you taking it day by day and just kind of building it, you know, as it goes?
I have a huge vision for SoLA. And not even just like the brand, I just have a huge vision for our community and culture. And that's what it is. It's a community and culture. So I have a huge vision for our community and culture in terms of developing people, developing players and coaches. That's definitely part of my vision. Supporting players and coaches through that process, whether it's through advice, whether it's through training, whether it's through mentorship, whether it's through mindset support, whatever that looks like. I want us intentionally to have like a detailed quality program. So I don't want us to grow super quickly, but I also do have ambitions like, you know, can we also support players in this space of LA or California? Can we maybe collaborate with top ballers from Europe? Can we collaborate? You know, like I'm very open-minded. It's just got to be intentional. So I think the sky's the limit for us. I'm going to go for it. I haven't given you specifics, but ultimately, like, I enjoy life, and I like to live a way of enjoying my life. You know, whether it's through passion, whether it's through creativity, whether it's through well-being. So within that, like this ecosystem that we're trying to build, I want it to be a space, a safe space that's full of like-minded people that are on a journey where we're relentlessly pursuing our dreams. That's behind the name, like SoLA. You know, like sometimes like the area of LA like receives like negative energy. Like when people say, "Oh, that's SoLA," like it's in like a negative context. You know, it's sometimes to do because this person likes a salad or likes a smoothie or likes yoga, right? Which is cool, you know. And I actually get called like I've been called that in the past, but like for example, family members that haven't even been to LA, and I've always thought like what does that even mean like to you? Because LA, and I get the joke and I get banter, but LA is so vast. Like there's so many different worlds within LA. You know, when you go to like East LA or like South Central Crenshaw, but then you're in Beverly Hills, but then you're in West LA. Like there's so many different flavors all around the city. And what's been cool for me is like I've been working with young people that are chasing a dream, that are leading their life through like purity around a sport that they love. And that's just been so humbling and inspiring for me. And these people are like, come from so many different demographics and different backgrounds. And I've been able to like connect with them. To me, that's a part of what LA is. And then it's just like fearlessly attacking your ambition with courage, with love, with creativity. So to answer your question, to kind of go full circle, I'm going to do this with So LA. Like I've just pretty much stepped down from a job that I love. You know, working at the LA Galaxy, like that's a job that, bro, like it wasn't a job. Like it was my life. But I put my heart and soul into that project. And I loved it. I really believe in this vision. And it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to attack it, and then I'm just going to learn a lot, you know? And that's what I've told myself. Like already I've made a lot of mistakes, a lot of like growth pains, whether it's like, you know, because I'm funding everything myself. So I've been investing in like nonsense as well, like jerseys and this and that, and, you know, losing money here and there and setting things up wrong, like in the wrong way, or, and that's part of earlier. Like I told you, like my team are amazing. And like in the space of 5 weeks, we've already done 2 events, our first 2 events. And, you know, in ways they've been set up like very last minute in a lot of ways. And my team and the people around me have been incredible in making sure that we're able to execute, you know, those moments. So to answer your question, to go back, you're like, we're going to go for it.
Dude, I love that. I think when people say LA in a negative context, the population of LA is very transient, I think. And so people don't feel a big sense of community here, because I think community is a group of people with a shared set of values. And it's hard to look around at such a big city and think that, oh, I share the same values as this person and that person. But part of that part of So LA that you're building that's so beautiful is that group of kids with a shared dream. And you're helping elevate and give them a platform and telling their story, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm also, you know, my opinion is, yeah, it's easy to look around and be like, oh, this person's not for me or whatever. But my opinion is like, what's the energy that you're giving out? What's the energy that you're exuding? And I think you can create a community. You know, I've found incredible communities out here, and several incredible communities out here. Not to say that, you know, you won't feel lonely at times and you won't feel like in isolation and this and that, because there's definitely, you know, we're all human. And I've definitely had those moments and still have those moments. But I do think that like you can give out the type of energy that you want to receive.
If there's a young baller out there listening right now to this, what would you want them to know?
About what?
About the journey, about what it's going to take, about what you've learned in your experience. I mean, you're someone with a very, very unique experience.
Believe in yourself. Attack your dreams with your heart and your mind. Have a growth mindset. I'd say those 3 things.
What do you think the most important lesson that you've learned so far on this journey is?
And there have been too many lessons, honestly. I'd say what I'm really conscious of now is my own self-awareness and just continuing to be myself, because I think we all are ourselves and we should continue to be ourselves. And I am very much like unapologetically myself. But there have been moments in my journey too when, you know, maybe I could have read a situation better and maybe, you know, quieten down or, you know, whatever, right? So what I'm just really conscious of right now is like my self-awareness and like being myself, but just being aware of just surroundings and aware of other people, aware of like when to be high energy, when to be kind of quieter. Because for me, that's something I have to be quite deliberate in, because I approach every day with like high frequency, like a lot of the time. So I have to be aware of that. Yeah.
Some people, you know, this may be controversial. Some people can't separate Kanye West from his music. I'm still a big Kanye fan.
Okay.
And one of my favorite songs from him is Everything I Am, because he says something in there that I still think about almost every day whenever I'm going through any kind of struggle. And he says, everything I'm not made me everything I am. And I love that, because in this life, the pursuit of authenticity, of just being yourself, can be so hard through all the noise now, because social media will tell these kids to be one thing. Their parents will tell them to be something else. And, you know, at the end, I think it's a brilliant message, because it's saying all those things that you try and you fail, and in all the red lights, all of the setbacks, all of those things that didn't happen are actually going to make you who you are. And it's not a loss if you just keep going, you know. And I think soccer itself teaches you that, because you might have a bad training session, but there's one the next day and you get to try again. And if you can just continue to have that mindset, it can take you not just to success through football or soccer, but through your entire life. Like the way that you've faced your challenges and gone through your journey. I feel like soccer had something to do with that. Just this playing and being a part of the sport itself.
Yeah,
must have had something to do with that in your formative years, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know, man. I mean, dude, life is interesting. Like that. What's next for So LA?
There's a lot going on right now, man. There's a lot. We're finishing Summer Source right now, which is great. So Summer Source is the 6-week holistic program, which we launched this summer, which has been incredible, which you're a part of. So next week's our final week of that. But now it's about like building our processes for the future. So building what those training processes look like, processes in how we're developing people, processes in feedback. So there's a lot there. Building the events, what that looks like, what those processes look like. Developing like the business model, like what does that look like? I've kind of, in a lot of ways, I've gone into areas blindly. When it's come to the business side of stuff and it's come to the financial side of stuff.
Is there parallels like between being a business leader and being a coach? Like did coaching prepare you to be the leader of that company as well?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the same. There's a lot of the same principles, you know, like you have to be able to observe, have to be able to communicate, have to be able to connect with people, have to be able to understand different personalities, have to understand how to get the best out of your team, and be a good teammate. You know, there's just so many. Have to understand how to motivate your team. Yeah, man. There's a lot. I would say it's like the same. There's a lot of the same principles. You're just not physically playing on a field, you know, but you're pursuing challenges and you're pursuing moments together. You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Man, I see from the outside.
I'd say for that, like a lot of the top coaches that I've seen and be around, they're so sharp as humans, like so smart and good at communicating and good at observing and then creating a vision and executing that vision, that I've been around them and like thought to myself, like, this person could be like a top CEO in like any industry that person would want to work in. So like Johan is an example. Greg Vanny, LA Galaxy first team head coach, like his mind is so smart. I could go on, like the Jose Alcacer, the French national team 16s coach, he's another guy. Fred Lipko, the gentleman who works for MLS as the vice president of development, like he's another guy. Like they're just so smart in how they ask people.
So with the LA Galaxy, I don't want to say that journey's over, because you obviously have remained having a great relationship with LA Galaxy. And I'm sure you always will, especially since you've kind of formed the next kind of crop of players that are going through there. And those players also work with you at SoLA. But if you could look back at your time there and say, was there any standout moments that looking back, you go, that's something that kind of epitomizes my time there, and also, or maybe just something you're proud of, especially, and then also, if you do have a legacy there, like what would you want that to be? Like how would you want to be remembered in that realm?
Firstly, I try not to think about a legacy. For me, that's just me as a person. I don't want to think about that kind of stuff. I just think I'd be distracted, and it's a bit of like my opinion, for me, it'd be kind of ego driven if I think about that. So I try not to think about that. In terms of like things that I'm grateful for and proud of, there's a few things. I mean, firstly, I've just been surrounded by amazing people on a daily basis for years. Coaches that have coached at a higher level than me, coaches that have more experience than me, the people, the players, the families. I've just been surrounded by just top humans, which has then allowed me to just grow, as a person. So very grateful for that. I'd say, when I first started recruiting the age groups and leading that back in the day, firstly, I'll be honest, the academy, yes, we had some top talents, but I thought across the board it was quite mediocre. Not all the age groups, but I'm talking like there were certain age groups, like in the youngers when I first started. Before that, like the guys who were coaching the age groups before that did a great job of recruiting, but there was a few years where the academy was a bit mediocre in terms of talent. So, but then also I wanted to recruit age groups and teams and players that represented LA in terms of talent, in terms of diversity, because LA is just so diverse. And back then, our academy wasn't great, like wasn't that diverse. It's a reality. To like over the course of the years, like even the group that I coached last season, which is our players born in 2012. So our under 13 group last season, we had kids of all different backgrounds, and they were teammates. They helped each other. They would they would work together, sometimes have differences, but they were like, they were on a team working together in a collective way. And that to me was beautiful. And I'd say if you look at the academy, it's very diverse. And I think I've played a part in that, And then I'd say lastly, we have developed players that have progressed, throughout the years, throughout the age groups. And, I've been blessed to be a part of that process throughout like the 07 age group, the guys that we spoke about earlier, the 2008 age group. You got like Ryan Hartley, Jude Terry, who's at LAFC but doing really well. He's someone that, we brought in. The 09 age group, we obviously spoke about Matisse. There's guys like Aaron Medina, who's doing really well. The 2010 age group, Vicente Garcia, Akina Chidebe, we're just with the US right now. Juan Carlos Martinez Mono is with the Mexican national team, and there's other ballers in that age group too. The 2011 age group, so just throughout the age groups, I've been blessed to work with players that are now entering a journey in their life where they're pursuing that dream at a high level. So that's been a blessing too.
How much of it with those players within Akena is it natural talent, and how much of it is habits off the field?
It's a mix of things, right? Like, I mean, we'll use Akena as an example. He is talented, but he's also very hardworking. He's got a great family around him who are loving. They're smart, they're firm, they're disciplined, but they're very humble. I know Akena really well because at our camp with Soleil, his younger brother and younger sister have been coming. But why I mention them is even when I actually just worked with his younger sister for the first time this summer, and she's just so intelligent and mature and humble and hardworking. So she's a reflection of that family, And Akena is like that. Like when you talk to him, he's so humble and cool. So it's a mix of things, He's not just a talented kid. There's so many factors that go into it, and that's all of those guys. The guys that I just mentioned. I say all of them are good people first. They're good people first. They have an ability, and then they have personality traits that drive them towards that ability.
The best people oftentimes make the best footballers.
For sure, yeah.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, appreciate you too, man. Thank you for having me on, bro.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, love, bro.